Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Queer Eye for the GI. America's enemies laugh as the United States Senate votes to homosexualize the armed forces. I'm Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs with Liberty Counsel and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law. Joining me in our brand new studios here at Liberty Counsel in Lynchburg, Virginia is Shawn Achors, Dean of Liberty's Helms School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Well, Shawn, Senator John McCain of Arizona called it a, quote, sad day. The United States Congress has voted to allow open homosexual conduct in the ranks of the armed services despite dire warnings from people like General John Amos, who heads up the United States Marine Corps, where the Marines on the battlefront were overwhelmingly opposed to homosexualizing the armed services. Unfortunately, President Obama, a lame duck Senate headed by Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, and complicit were 8 Republicans who now really should be hanging their head in shame in emasculating and essentially harming, gaying down, if you will, our United States Armed Services. It is indeed a sad time, and it reflects very poorly on the United States of America. And as I mentioned, I believe that our terrorist enemies are laughing themselves silly right now.
Matt, it's a sad time, and it's a very dangerous time. I mean, we are sitting at a place in global history when never before have we had so many potential threats from rogue nations, from a variety of people, and new alignments with a variety of dictators. And at a time like that, when we should be more concentrated than ever on a unified, strong United States military, we are dealing with what we've talked about repeatedly as social experimentation. It has taken up the lion's share of our time, an extraordinary amount of our budget, and now it's been pushed through, and we're going to see the effects exactly like we've been discussing. Now, to put things in context, it still has a few more rungs to go.
Yeah.
It's made its way through Congress. It's going to now land on it's been done.
Yeah, it has, and this will be the first time since our nation's inception that people engaged in the aberrant lifestyle, homosexual lifestyle, engaging in these volitional behaviors, people who define themselves based upon aberrant sexual behaviors, will be allowed to flaunt, essentially, those behaviors. And we now have a report coming out of the Department of Defense saying that heterosexual service members who are uncomfortable, for instance, with sleeping alongside or showering with open gay men or women who may very well be sexually attracted to them will have no process for opting out. The only opting out they can do is, as I believe it was Secretary Gates said, just to opt out by letting their feet do the talking and walk out of the armed services once their enlistment is up. So essentially we have now taken good, conservative, traditional values, individuals, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who make up the bulk of the United States Armed Services, and we've told them if you happen to hold traditional values relative to sexual morality, or if you happen to be uncomfortable with the idea of a homosexual man glaring at you in the shower, who may be sexually attracted to you, well, then you need to just get out of the United States military, because we have embraced wholeheartedly now San Francisco values.
You know, Matt, one of the great mistakes that we've seen just repeatedly through this administration is a misunderstanding that at all times you are conducting foreign policy. Even if it doesn't look like foreign policy, you would think that something like the Don't Ask, Don't Tell debacle would be domestic policy. It's about what we're doing inside our military. This is is foreign policy. It sends a message all around the globe that this is what's most important to the United States of America, and it's not, by the way, protecting ourselves from those of you that would be looking for an opportunity. This is really a dangerous time for us. It's also at the same time that other members of even this administration are having to admit that we face a great threat among radicalized Islam, even stateside, even among United States citizens. We're not paying much attention to any of that while we're fighting these kinds of battles. Now, you mentioned, Matt, that part of what made this possible were 8 Republicans spread out through a few states in the United States. And this is something, when we go down this path and we look back in a few months and we say we've spent so much time guarding over the hen house that we didn't do anything at all to look after the nation as far as security goes, we need to remember who the Republicans were, who the conservatives were, but those that claim to be conservative on both sides, and the conservative Democrats that have spoken out against this and that caved. But those that are conservative in both the Senate and the House that flip when the pressure's on, we need to remember who they are.
Well, the 8 senators, you mentioned Republicans that voted along with Democrats to gay down the armed services were Richard Burr of North Carolina, Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois, who many media reports in Illinois and elsewhere have suggested that he himself is a practicing homosexual. John Ensign of Nevada, Scott Brown of Massachusetts, George Voinovich of Ohio, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Olympia Snow, and Susan Collins, both of Maine. The Family Research Council, I know the Freedom Federation, a number of 501c4 and political action committees, conservative in nature across the country, have vowed to essentially put a bullseye on these individuals now from a political standpoint, and to help fund and support challengers, conservative challengers to them against them when they run for office. I think it's important. Now, Sean, the Freedom Federation has also vowed to work with the next Congress to undo this horrible disservice to our troops and to national security, to work to essentially repeal the repeal, if you will. And it's definitely going to be an uphill battle, but we already have legislators in some states across the country, including Virginia, saying, for instance, that they are going to work to block open homosexual conduct in the Army National Guard, for instance, here in Virginia. There are many possible avenues here, and I believe that as the military starts to suffer the consequences of this ill-advised blow here to national security, I think that the debate is far from over, and I expect that we will see this debate continuing, and I hope so, because we cannot give up on this fight. We have the best and most powerful armed services in the world, and it's a shame to see it emasculated and weakened in such a fashion.
Well, Matt, 2 points. One, when we talk about there being ramifications to elections, that elections are important, you can see that play out very, very dramatically. I mean, we just saw Lisa Murkowski in a tremendous battle with a write-in competition not very long ago with a Tea Party candidate who got the Republican nomination in Alaska. And you see how an election going one way or the other has a very real difference very, very quickly. Now, I think your point about the debate not being over is staggeringly well taken, because if you take this to its philosophical and logical ends, the debate's only beginning. This is going to turn into a proliferation, because now the question becomes, if that one particular sexual preference has been given this enchanted status in the U.S. military, this grant of protection, what else should the United States military endorse as far as sexual practices? Surely this can't be the only one, because that would be discrimination against countless others who have different proclivities.
Well, that's right. It opens up a whole Pandora's box in terms of questions that have been begged. What happens on bases, for instance, in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere, where there's an American presence, where the Muslim populations will be offended beyond anything we can possibly understand by a couple men shacking up and setting themselves out, holding themselves out as, quote, married. There are many questions on the table. Liberty Counsel will be at the forefront in delving into these issues and educating the public about the ramifications and how we can undo this dangerous threat to national security. Go to lc.org to learn more about Liberty Counsel, or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.